Good evening and welcome back to PJTN Facebook Live tonight. I'm Lori Cardozo-Moore, your host. It's great to have you back with us this evening. I hope that you all had a wonderful holiday, a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and of course a Happy New Year. And we're looking forward to getting started and having a busy year here at Proclaiming Justice to the Nations. While all of you all were traveling and celebrating, PJTN was getting ready for our big year ahead. We've got a lot of great programs coming up we're going to tell you about. And of course, we'll be meeting here every Wednesday night. I hope you'll continue to join us. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts about what's going on. But I also want to give you a little different perspective of what's going on around the world, especially as it pertains to anti-Semitism, but also what's happening in Israel. So thanks again for joining us tonight. I want to just talk again for those of you who are new to the program tonight. Proclaiming Justice to the Nations mission is to educate Christians about our biblical responsibility to stand with our Jewish brethren and defend the state of Israel against the rise of global anti-Semitism. We accomplish our mission by producing award-winning documentary films, television programs. I do interviews on radio, TV to discuss these issues, to try to reach Christians around the world, helping them to understand biblically what's going on and what is our role in this generation to combat it. So I want to encourage you right off the bat to visit our website at pjtn.org. If you're a Facebook friend and you haven't signed up to get our newsletters and our media alerts, press releases, I want to encourage you again, go to pjtn.org and sign up. So I also want to thank all of you because we've had a major fundraising campaign going on over the last couple of months. Our goal was to have 5,000 new PJTN watchmen on the wall from around the globe. Donating $20 a month. That campaign is still going on. So if you haven't registered yet, I want to encourage you again, go to pjtn.org, sign up to become a monthly donor at $20 a month. But I do want to thank those of you who have already given generously in 2017, and for those of you who will commit to us in 2018 as well. PJTN witnessed our greatest year of growth. Operating with a modest team on a limited budget in 2017, we served without ceasing as a relentless advocate for the most important issues, from the war on anti-Semitism on college campuses that saw an unfortunate 67% rise in 2017, to the rallying of support for revised textbook standards across the U.S. Another step in the battle for the minds of a new generation in support of Israel and our Judeo-Christian values. In 2017, we witnessed the growth of our TV media partners to the level of 1 billion cumulative listeners and viewers in more than 176 nations globally through our PJTN Focus on Israel series and documentary presentations. We also experienced a new high watermark of media placement and coverage of PJTN's voice in major TV, radio, internet, and print outlets globally. It's important that we reach more Christians with this message. So we've shared in that success. We've also seen success in the rally of PJTN's support of Israel in the state-by-state introduction of legislation against the BDS movement and in support of revision of textbooks that mirror anti-Semitic, anti-Judeo-Christian, anti-American, and anti-Israel content in communities in 6 states. So for those of you who are not actively engaged in this effort on a local level, I want to encourage you to email us at info@pjtn.org to get more information about how you can get involved in your state. This year, we will launch the formal next phase of our 3-year visionary campaign plan for PJTN at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention on March 1st in Nashville, Tennessee. I hope you'll plan to join us. If you've never been to an NRB convention, it's very exciting. And of course, we will be showcasing all of our new programming at the NRB for all of the broadcasters. It's really, NRB is why we reach so many Christians around the world. The National Religious Broadcasters Convention, if you're not familiar with them, has over 6,000 global members. And every year they come to the convention. We introduce and showcase all of our award-winning programming for Christian media around the globe, and we give our media, our programming, away for free. All of our programs are produced because of donors like you. And we couldn't do it. We couldn't have this reach. So you really are, those of you who are contributing and supporting PJTN financially, you are partnering with us to take this message about our biblical responsibility to Christians around the world. And I'm telling you, we are hearing from people all over the globe. We just got an email yesterday from South Africa, a gentleman who was tuning into one of our documentaries on Daystar television called Israel Indivisible. And he was blown away. But we heard from many people from across the United States who saw that documentary film, and they all said the same thing. We learned things that we did not know before. So this is what we're doing. This is what, when you support PJTN financially, this is what you are supporting. You are partnering with us to take this message about the covenant that God made with Israel and take it to Christians who are not being informed about this perspective, this biblical perspective. So I want to thank you all again, but they come to the NRB every year and we give away our programming. They take our programs and they broadcast it to their audience. So it's a multiplication effect. Over 1 billion people this past year. We've hit that high water mark and we are so excited about it. So we do again hope that you'll join with us. If you're not supporting PJTN on a monthly basis, or if you want to make a one-time donation, I want to encourage you to do so at pjtn.org. So moving on, we, of course, the theme for our next NRB convention will be igniting the torch. Our goal is to start reaching the millennial generation and the generation coming after them. You know, we have millennials that are in college that are pursuing media, communications, pursuing those degrees. We want to reach out to those up-and-coming Christian kids who are pursuing these degrees, pursuing media, a media career, to bring them to the NRB, introduce them to the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, and introduce them to the work that we're doing at PJTN. One day, we are going to, I won't pass the torch yet, but we're going to ignite the torch now with the generation that is coming up to prepare them so that they can take this message to their generation. So I hope again that you'll join us with that. But the igniting the torch for the new generation will encompass the production of 200 hours of unique TV media content being spread widely through our 19 key media partners globally who carry PJTN programming. We, again, with your help, will be adding more media partners in 2018. Our goal is to reach the new millennial generation to combat the rising threat of anti-Semitism on secondary and higher education campuses and to ignite their support of Israel ongoing. So your online donation will provide PJTN with the ability to confront the global revisionist history and in the disinformation campaign, both biblically, because it's happening in our churches as well, and politically, by flooding the global media market with truth. And so I want to encourage you again to support our efforts. Join us as a PJTN watchman. PJTN also remained on the front lines in the war on anti-Semitism throughout 2017, amid a year that found protests and violence against Jews rising, as mentioned, an alarming 67% on college campuses across the U.S., much of it enticed by on-campus groups like Students for Justice in Palestine. Now, keep in mind, if you're not familiar with SJP, or Students for Justice in Palestine, they are an arm of the Muslim Brotherhood groups. And they are operating on our college campuses under the guise of legitimate clubs. They should be shut down. They are promoting attacks and violence and hatred against the Jewish students and now the Christian Zionist students on the college campuses. In fact, as they push this BDS movement and try to legitimize as a peaceful way of targeting Israel, Rabbi Shmuley Bateg noted in yesterday's editorial section of Allgemeiner, an editorial that I encourage you to read in full at our website at pjtn.org. He said, and I quote, "Let's be clear. The sole purpose of BDS is to destroy Israel. It has no interest whatsoever in Palestinian rights. If it did, if BDS was about Palestinian rights, it would be boycotting Mahmoud Abbas for becoming a dictator and shameful, enriching his family through the corrupt Palestinian Authority. If BDS were about Palestinian rights, it would be boycotting Hamas for its honor killings of Palestinians who protest the brutal regime. BDS has no interest in protecting Arab life. If it did, it would be boycotting Syria for murdering 500,000 Arabs. BDS has no interest in protesting an occupation. If it did, it would be boycotting China for occupying Tibet since 1950, the longest occupation in the modern world. BDS has no interest in promoting Arab human rights. If it did, it would be divesting from Qatar, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and every other Arab nation where the most basic of rights are denied, like freedom of the press, freedom to protest, and the freedom to vote, all of which are guaranteed to Arabs in Israel. BDS trades in anti-Semitism by trivializing human rights and abuses in any country but democratic Israel." That's his quote. And I think Rabbi Buteyik hit the nail on the head. PJTN is committed as never before in 2018 to bringing the truth to America's youth on campus with the launch, as mentioned, of our visionary new campaign, Igniting the Torch, with the stated goal of reaching the next generation in support of Israel. Our campaign will initially be unveiled to media next month at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention being held in Nashville. Complete details on how you can be involved and attend our PJTN event for Israel will be online at pjtn.org. And we are looking for sponsors, so there is an opportunity to sponsor if you've got a business and you want to place an ad in our tribute book to promote your company, your organization. We would love to hear from you. And speaking of the need to educate youth globally on the truth about Israel, New Zealand pop singer Lorde is the latest high-profile music artist to come out in support of BDS. At only 21, Lorde is an example of a new generation woefully devoid of the truth at hand. Again, this is an example of revisionist history, not just in our schools in the United States, but it's going on around the globe. The pre-concert tour hectoring of pop stars visiting Israel has become a tired old publicity stunt as BDS activists and other influential cultural figures put an enormous amount of effort into pressuring major music artists to boycott Israel. Famous faces who have boycotted Israel continue to be publicized, as do supportive performers such as Radiohead, who performed to an audience of more than 40,000. Just recently in Tel Aviv, and artists such as Alicia Keys, Lady Gaga, Bon Jovi, and the Rolling Stones, who have all been embraced by audiences in Israel. Yes, it is a cultural war, and I encourage PJTN Watchmen to let your voices be heard and let your purchase of concert tickets reflect your opinion. Again, you can read more at our website at pjtn.org. So we've got a lot going on tonight. We've got a lot to discuss, and I want to hear from you all. So please feel free to send me your questions. We've got Jackie joining us. Jackie's there. Thank you. Jackie's one of our loyal Facebook participants. But I also want to talk about some of the issues that have been going on as a result of Trump's decision to move the capital, or the embassy, the U.S. embassy, to Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. And of course, since he made that announcement on December 6th, he's gotten a lot of flack. He's had to, in fact, there was just a recent UN vote condemning, a resolution condemning Trump's decision to move the embassy, to even, how dare he mention that Jerusalem happened to be the capital of the state of Israel. And of course, the UN Security Council voted and passed the resolution, and our hero and champion, Nikki Haley, Ambassador Haley, of course, let put everybody on notice at the United Nations that we know who our friends are. And of course, now the Trump administration is reviewing who's going to be getting some funding in 2018. I've also read recently that Mahmoud Abbas has stated that the United States is no longer a legitimate partner for helping to execute a two-state solution or peace. And so he's calling on the world to remove the United States from discussions. Obviously, he believes that Donald Trump isn't as objective as the rest of the leaders who are supporting it. But some of the neat things that have come out of this situation, there were countries who did support the decision that President Trump made. And in fact, there has been talk about moving their embassies, like Romania and Guatemala, countries, I believe Palau, little tiny countries that have been dear friends to the United States of America and have also been loyal supporters for Israel as well. So we're excited about that. And of course, there's more to come. We're going to be following the news accounts of what's going on with regards to what's happening on our college campuses. Just a quick little update. There was an incident on UC Santa Cruz where a swastika again was found before Hanukkah. It happens to be the 11th, it marked the 11th anti-Semitic incident on UC Santa Cruz in 3 months. This is again another example as to why PJTN is pushing the anti-BDS resolution in our state legislatures across the country. For the state legislature, because keeping in mind that it is the state legislature that governs the affairs of the state, even the university school system, the education system, the secondary education system. That's why we're using these resolutions on the state level, because the state is what governs our university campuses and our secondary school campuses. So it's important to educate our state legislators about the growing problems. We were just out in Colorado. We were warmly welcomed by the Christian community and the Jewish community there for the work that we're doing. And we are working with several of the state legislators in pushing this initiative there in Colorado as well. In Ohio, we passed our resolution out of the House. It will go on to the Senate within the next couple of weeks to be voted on as well. So if you're in Ohio, we encourage you to contact your state representatives, your state senators, and ask them to support this anti-BDS resolution to condemn these groups on the college campuses and protect the civil rights of our Jewish students on college campuses as well. And then finally, I just want to give you an update. There's two more things I want to touch on, and then we'll open up for questions before we close this evening. But there's a great article on the New Boston, let me find, it's on the website. It's called Undoing the Diseducation of Millennials. And this is written by a law professor who communicates the problem that he sees in his classroom with the millennials not being prepared to be able to even think critically anymore. He has students, he talks about in the article where students come in, they've been so indoctrinated with propaganda that they don't know how to think for themselves. Again, this is the part of the problem within our secondary school campuses. It's why we're finding problems within the standards and the textbooks across this country. So again, it reflects the need, why it's so important that we as Christians, Jews, people of conscience, get engaged in what is being taught to our children in our public school system. Because, you know, there's going to come a time when our generation is going to have to pass the baton to the next generation. And hopefully, God willing, there'll be somebody who will be able to take the baton of our constitutional republic forward for the freedom of all people and all religions in the United States of America. And then finally, the final fallout I want to mention from President Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, an imam last week from Houston called for Muslims to kill Jews. And then he tried to walk back what he said, and he stated that he didn't mean to incite violence. In fact, I want to read a quote that he said, and this is from him. "I unequivocally affirm and uphold the dignity, sanctity, and value of all human life, including, of course, people of the Jewish faith." Al-Rusan said in the statement, quote, "I must also state in no uncertain terms that I am absolutely and completely opposed to and disgusted by all forms of terrorism, all terrorists, and I oppose anyone who would commit, call for, or threaten violence against civilians. This is why, as a person of faith and a religious leader, that I am mortified that an impassioned sermon I gave in light of President Trump's Jerusalem declaration is being seen as a call for the very things I despise." And in the video that Memory produced and put up on the internet, Al-Rusan delivered this inflammatory speech. You be the judge. Quote, "Judgment Day will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews. The Muslims will kill the Jews," Al-Rusan said. So he said, I didn't say that to incite violence. And he's a peaceful person. He believes that people of all different religions should be protected and no civilians should be murdered by terrorists. But here he quotes that Judgment Day will not come until all the Muslims kill the Jews. So this is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. This is the impact of anti-Semitism. This is not the first imam to make this statement. You all may recall back last summer, there were two imams in California who basically made a similar statement. And it was as a result of what had happened on the Temple Mount, because the Israeli police decided after the shooting to put up the metal detectors. There we go. To put up metal detectors in order to protect the people who came up to pray on the Temple Mount. There was such outrage and protest about that. The Israeli police were being accused of violating Muslims' ability or not enabling Muslims to go up and pray on the Temple Mount because they would have to go through a metal detector. Well, we go through metal detectors every day if we fly. And for them to incite such violence and call for the murder of Jews because metal detectors were provided, that's a bit of a stretch. Anyhow, so I want to just go ahead and open up if there's any questions, any comments that you want to make. And I don't see any tonight. So I want to thank you all again for joining us on PJTN's Facebook Live. And we look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday night. God bless.